The CLEEN Foundation has called on election stakeholders in Osun State to contribute their quota in ensuring a peaceful and successful gubernatorial election. The acting executive director of the foundation, Ruth Olofin, made this call at a pre-election press briefing in Abuja on the 2022 Osun State Governorship Election. Olofin, while raising concern on the expected risk of violence during the poll, called on the media and security agencies to live up to their responsibilities in ensuring they don't influence the election negatively. She also tasked the main actors in the election to utilize the report of the risk assessment indicators provided by the organization in taking proactive steps to ensure smooth conduct of the polls.
Despite this positive outlook epitomized by the high optimism for peaceful elections, CLEEN Foundation also observed indicators that could constitute electoral risk that could trigger violence during the elections. These findings include the activities of party thugs, which stood at 85.9%, the partiality of security agencies, 83.5%, widespread availability and use of hard drugs at 82.7%, broadcasting and publishing of hate speech, 81.9%, the prevalence of misinformation and fake news, 80.9%, poor training and low professionalism of security agents, 80.4%, undue influence of money, 79.5%, partisanship, favoritism, partiality and sensationalism of the press, 78.7%, lack of synergy among security agents, 78.2%, activities of religious extremists, cultists, armed groups and ritualists, 78.1%, poor synergy between INEC and security agents, 77.1%, aggressive and excessive use of force at 76.8%, conduct of party agents, 76%, exclusion and discrimination, 76%, problems associated with registration and accreditation devices, 75.4%. Other factors identified also include misinformation by civil society organizations at 74.9%, abuse of social media, 74%, miscarriage of justice, 72.9%, failure of regulatory bodies to ensure adherence to media regulations, 71.8%, activities of immigrants and unregistered voters, 71.7%, citizens' disaffection with the government, 70.6%, problems associated with continuous voter registration, 70.3%, inadequacy or excessive presence of security agents, 70.1%, and problems associated with the deployment of security agents at 70.1%. CLEEN Foundation also observed that the political and security atmosphere in Osun State has remained tensed, particularly with recent attacks on political party structures and candidates by thugs. The foundation strongly condemned these hideous trends, which is capable of destroying our electoral integrity and democracy. We urge all actors to advise their supporters to restrain and play by the rules for a more credible and peaceful election in Osun State. The foundation recommends that key actors in the electoral processes, particularly INEC, political parties, security agents, mass media, and civil society organizations, need to pay increased attention to the identified risk factors to tackle them headlong through the various duty bearers. The early warning signs identified in the ESTA report should be seen as a priority by various authorities to take early action to avoid violence in the elections. Synergy amongst these agencies is imperative to the peaceful outcomes of the elections. We enjoin INEC, the law enforcement and security agencies to maintain the highest level of professionalism in their conduct by guarding against any form of compromise that could scuttle the democratic process. We think strongly that there is a need for greater oversight. I think that is what is lacking. Oversight over the security agencies and also for the media abiding by the regulatory framework for professional reporting of issues. Where we seem to lose it is where personnel, either from the media or from security agencies, are indicted and nothing seems to be working. So it's to go a step further to say, after the elections, those who have been implicated in one form of electoral violence or the other, or incident as the case may be, how are we bringing those persons to account for their actions? I think that is the missing point, and that is where CLEEN Foundation calls for greater accountability within the electoral process.
CLEEN Foundation conducts election security threat assessments ahead of every election, basically to assess what we call electoral risk factors and how people perceive them ahead of the election. We have a methodology which was developed together with the Electoral Institute of INEC. We have a tool which we deployed in Osun State to collect citizens' perception. So we trained our field workers, which we deployed across the local government in Osun State to collect citizens' perception around these electoral risk factors. And it is the aggregate analysis of the findings from the field work which CLEEN conducted in Osun State that gave rise to the statistics you see in the press statement. Recall last week, CLEEN Foundation officially released the security threat assessment, which you can also access the report in our website to get details of the findings of that threat assessment.
In Anambra, before the elections, if you recall, the environment was also tensed, very tensed. In fact, the threat assessment conducted by CLEEN was just read. And at the end of the day, what we did was to use that to engage with stakeholders in a manner that they saw the need to do the need to scale up in terms of strategy of operation and also changing their strategies. And so at the end of the Nigeria Police Force, for example, changed several strategies in Anambra State to ensure that they got it right.